Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. Kevin Lee makes his return to the UFC, and it's fucking awesome. He's fighting Rinat Fakhretdinov. They didn't do him any favors. Rinat is 31 years old, 21-2, and he's got 3 inches of height, but giving up 3 inches of reach to 30-year-old Kevin Lee, who is 19-7. By the way, Rinat might be 21-1. I don't know. Sherdog has him with 1 loss. Tapology has him with 2 losses. And that other loss, I think Sherdog has classified as an amateur loss. Either way, they're both by decision. He's never been finished. And both losses were like 150 years ago. Very early in his career. So, he's looking great, Rinat Fakhretdinov. He's gotten plenty of finishes, 16 in his 21 victories. 12 of them coming in round 1, 4 of them coming in round 2. But they're largely over shitty competition. Not UFC level. He did knock out Eric Spicely right before getting to the UFC. Spicely, a bigger, capable guy, jiu-jitsu guy though, and weaker chin. Although he still submitted Thiago Santos like it was nothing. But Rinat, once he got to the UFC, he looked incredible in 2 dominant victories over Andreas Michailidis and Brian Battle. He did drop Brian Battle, but largely both of these fights were smothering wrestling attacks. And that's good enough. He was relentless, really smothering, incredible control, and just a problem. I don't think he's the most dangerous guy at the UFC level, despite me talking about all his finishes, because I think if he was, he would have put away Andreas Michailidis. He would have found a way to get that done, and probably Brian Battle as well. But he, resorted to his wrestling and looked incredible. Again, if you can't be dangerous, be dominant, and he was dominant. I think he's anybody he can out-wrestle, I think he's going to out-wrestle and look exactly like that, smothering them. Maybe he'll get a finish down the stretch, but if not, he's going to be all over you, like flies on shit, whatever. I don't know, it's the stupidest fucking reference. Either way, Kevin Lee is a potentially difficult matchup. Potentially. I still favor Rinat, if I can be honest and give you my pick right now. I would go with Rinat Fakhretdinov, but there's a chance Kevin Lee takes away his primary strength. Lee is a really difficult guy to out-wrestle, and if Lee should be able to out-wrestle you, he is insane on top. Kevin Lee has one of the best top games in the lightweight division or welterweight division, whatever the fuck, any division. He has, incredible passing, has passed to full mount on many, many, many good fighters. And from the full mount or the back mount, same thing really. He's just incredibly destructive and really, really sound. He's gotten some of his best victories there. Magomed Mustafayev, if you remember that guy. Jake Matthews, Michael Chiesa. That was a battle between the 2 best back control games in the sport at that point, or in the division. And Kevin Lee won that battle. But he's also looked vulnerable over time. Again, he's got 7 losses. He's been finished in 4 of them. Leonardo Santos is the only guy to knock him out. Knocked him out like 8 years ago. And he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but he's a capable striker. Ask Stevie Ray about that. Which, by the way, Stevie Ray, congratulations on your retirement. He's not a subscriber. I don't know why the fuck I'm saying that. And then the 3 submission losses he has are to Rafael Dos Anjos, Tony Ferguson, and Charles Oliveira. 3 excellent jiu-jitsu guys, and Kevin Lee had more than a share of moments against all 3 of those guys. Even Charles. He's a guy that can advance the mount on the best jiu-jitsu guys and give them hell on the ground. And then his 3 decision losses are to D-Rod and 2 to Ally Aquinta. Fights in which he was outboxed for the majority of those fights. But Rinat, I don't know if he's going to be able to take Kevin Lee down so easily. Lee is a guy that can be, I think he can fade a little bit. Those 3 submission losses, even though they are to really, really good submission artists, they all come deep into the fight. Round 4, round 3, and round 3. But Rinat Fakhretdinov, as for round 1, I don't know if he's going to be able to just go through Kevin Lee like he has everybody else and take him down. Of course, there's a chance he can, and if he can, he wins the fight. But if he can't, Kevin Lee makes this interesting. Even though Rinat Fakhretdinov has many more finishes, Kevin Lee is still a good enough striker and that beautiful knockout over Gregor Gillespie, probably the highlight of his career. That was emphatic, that really showed everybody how dangerous he can be. But at the same time, I think Kevin Lee is also more vulnerable on the feet. I think he's just more vulnerable. He's only been knocked out the once by Leonardo Santos, but he was on ice skates against Edson Barbosa. And overall, I have my doubts about his durability. And even when, he was fighting D-Rod and all these guys, I was thinking if he loses, it's by knockout. He's never been knocked out aside from the Leonardo Santos fight, but I do have doubts about his chin. And as for his overall striking, he's good enough, but he's not the best striker. That D-Rod fight and even his win against Diego Sanchez, the only fight he had outside the UFC, and those are the last two fights of Kevin Lee's, they weren't very inspiring fights, and they were both, both decisions. He won one, lost one, but he didn't look so great in my opinion, and especially on the feet. D-Rod really beat him up. And I think Rinat is not D-Rod. I don't think he's nearly as comfortable a striker as D-Rod. But I still think Rinat Fakhretdinov is good enough. I think with the threat of his wrestling, he will be able to land more easily on Kevin Lee, and he'll be able to find his moments. I think he's very much in the striking battle if he's forced to fight one. And that's why I'm picking Rinat Fakhretdinov to win. I think it will be more of a wrestling battle, and he will be able to get Kevin Lee down. Of course, if he's not able to do that right away, I still think he'll be able to do that eventually. And even if he's not on the feet, if they're forced to fight on the feet, Kevin Lee, even though he's had more success against better fighters, he's a guy that I consider to be more vulnerable, and again, as of late, he's looked a little lackluster. So overall, I put that all together, and I'm favoring Rinat Fakhretdinov to win. I've played his money line at minus 190. With a gun to my head, I'd say he wins a decision again. Kevin Lee, he's, vulnerable in a lot of different ways, but Rinat Fakhretdinov, if he couldn't put away Andreas Michailidis, I think in general he'll be fighting for a decision here. And that's my pick. I'll wait to see what the prop bets look like, but for now, I've only played the money line of Rinat Fakhretdinov. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.